Penguin Random House Audio presents The Garden Party by Dane Mazur, read for you by Bernadette Dunne. For Barry, Sasha, and Naya. In Memoriam, Zeke Mazur, 1969 to 2016. Seating plan. Philippa Morrill Barlow, 59, Estates and Wills. Pindar Cohen, 60, Beloved. Larissa, Mrs. Barnes Barlow, 35, Studying Japanese. Cameron Barlow, 35, Intellectual Law. Elizabeth, Bride, Barlow, 28, Large Animals, Harry's Twin. Adam, Groom, Cohen, 32, must be next to Eliza. Olivia, Mrs. William Barlow, 33, very sweet. Barnes Barlow, 32, prosecutor, terse. Sara Cohen, 29, scorpions still. Dennis Lombroso, 37, Sarah's Jesuit, Africa. Harriet, Brilliant, Barlow, 10, Barnes and Isa's daughter. Elliot, Mute, Barlow, 3, William and Olivia's son. Laurie, Imperious, Barlow, 10, William and Olivia's daughter. William Barlow, 39, Human Rights, Paris. Charlotte Morrill, Pippa's sister, 50-ish, journalist, society pages. Naomi Cohen, 24, question mark? Reverend Harry Barlow, 28, Eliza's twin. What sect is he? Leah Cohen, 91, no elderly dinner partner for her. Nathan, Pippa's father, Morrill, 89, not all there? Celia Cohen, 61, I have no attributes. Stephen Barlow, 64, soon-to-be judge, Lord of Golf. Amy, Mrs. Cam Barlow, 30. I can't seem to get a beat on her. Liam, Fishes, Barlow, 7, Cam and Amy's son. Emily, Insects, Barlow, 8, Cam and Amy's daughter. Empty, Prophet Elijah, in case I've forgotten anybody. Part 1. Preparations. Near the forest with its small, otherworldly pond, the house waits for guests, doors and windows flung open to the warm winds of the summer afternoon. The excitable flower beds tossed light and color to one another and toward the weathered shingles of the house, but the brilliance of the sun causes the rooms inside to appear cavernous and dark. Ecstatic chopping noises come from the kitchen, the staccato pulse of knife on wood, scallions mostly, mint. In the main garden, 2 tables stand end to end, covered with a single long white linen cloth that flutters as though alive, but it is only a passing breeze. Old Leah Cohen sat in the garden while her son, Pindar, lit one last pipe before setting the table. He didn't really have time for a pipe, she thought, but then time had become all jiggery around the edges, like a visual migraine. Today's wedding rehearsal had been at the Barlows' church. It had gone on for an eternity, and everyone had been exquisitely cordial, but now nothing was ready and all the Barlows would arrive at any moment. Although the 2 families were not antagonistic, there was an undeniable shyness, a wariness, perhaps. Pindar's wife, Celia, came out of the house with a seating plan and a wicker basket. "What time is it?" their daughter Sara called down from where she was sitting on the roof. "Are you sure it isn't late?" The house was tall, but the slates were not that steep, and it was one of Sara's favorite places to sit. It cleared the mind, she said. She had asked earlier if she could help with the tables, but both her parents had said, not yet, though they were used to her being on the roof and didn't worry about her. They could not stop themselves from reminding her every so often to come down. Pindar checked his list. And Naomi? Celia didn't answer. Shading her eyes from the sun, she called up to the silhouette of her older daughter. I need you to talk to your sister. Someone's got to get her out of her room. Sara stayed where she was. I tried. She said she would think about it, but when I went by a bit later, the door was still locked. She said she was getting dressed. When was that? Celia asked. About an hour ago? Consulting his list, Pindar said, This African of yours is coming? He's not African, Sara said. That's where he goes to teach in the summer. And he's not mine. I mean, we're not together. But he's coming, right? He'll be here. A bit more to your side. Pindar pointed with the stem of his pipe. Celia tugged the tablecloth smooth. It ruffled again slightly on its own. You're not going to surround me with them, he said. That's the point, she replied. Isn't it? She lifted the basket of silverware, tarnished and solid, placing it on the table. Besides, they're hardly strangers. We're about to be related. Not until noon tomorrow. He looked at his watch. Not enough time for a nap, barely enough time to get the table done. They won't stay terribly late, will they? Raising his face to the sky, he called, Sara, where's your sister? Sara smiled down at her father. I just told you, in her room. What sort of shape is she in? I'm not sure, Sara said. She knew that although her parents were distraught about her sister these days, today and tomorrow at least, were not about Naomi or herself. They belonged to her brother Adam and Eliza, his bride. Not only the dinner party and the wedding, but all the currents and eddies of time between and surrounding these events should be theirs. And yet, perhaps because of the odd electric storm in the night, which had done nothing to dissipate the heat or the charge in the atmosphere, perhaps because of her own disastrous phone conversation this morning, time today was darting about, sizzling and unruly, flicking from one person's story to another's. Pindar had that uncanny spatial dislocation of the underslept, as though he were sitting on his own shoulder, stealing puffs from his own pipe. There had been heat lightning and thunder during the night. Although he loved extreme weather, the continual low grumbling in the west had led his dog, Dunne, to panic. Finally, he had taken the dog with him into his study so that Celia could stay asleep. All night long he comforted the dog and did battle with his own thought demons, who departed shortly before dawn. He slept for an hour or two, then shuffled into the kitchen, still half asleep, to make breakfast for himself and Celia and bring it back to bed. As usual, he made Turkish coffee in small green cups, plates of toast and jam, and a brass bowl of dates, walnuts, and dried cherries. Today he found some figs, plump as puddings about to burst their skin. He split a Crenshaw melon and carved it into crescents of pinkish yellow. In bed, lifting herself on one elbow, Celia had smiled as he set down the tray. We could, get up, she said. People do that. Her gray hair billowed. We could have it down in the kitchen, love, especially today. Can't, Pindar replied. He was not yet out of the vortex of sleep, intense because it had been so brief, and that night wanderer, his soul, might not be able to find its way back if he took his breakfast in an unusual place. Although Celia did not share his
Sample complete. Ready to continue?